using an outdated system, an antiquated system, a very tricky and treacherous system to further the political oppression and the political exploitation of 22 million black people in this country. So what must we do? As long as we're running around here asking the white man for civil rights, we're at his mercy. As long as we're in Washington, D.C. asking him for civil rights, we're at his mercy. The entire civil rights program has to be expanded from the level of civil rights to the level of human rights. When you take it from the level of civil rights and put it on the level of human rights, you internationalize the problem. And when you internationalize it, you open the gate for support from every nation on this planet who is for the human rights of mankind. It's true that it's within the power of Uncle Sam to give or not give you and me civil rights. But human rights are something that you have when you're born. Human rights involves the right to be a human being. And in the United Nations Charter, you have what's known as the Covenant on Human Rights, the Declaration of Human Rights. There are committees that are set up in the UN for the sole purpose of fighting for the human rights of downtrodden people all over this earth. And now the human rights of the people in South Africa have been taken before the United Nations. The human rights of our people in Angola and Mozambique and the Congo has gone before the United Nations. It's not an accident that your and my plight has never reached the UN. You and I are more thoroughly trodden upon and exploited and spat upon than our brothers in South Africa and Angola and Mozambique and all other parts of this earth. But there has been a conspiracy to keep you and me barking up the civil rights tree so we wouldn't be aware of the human rights tree.
Employment and poverty has forced many of our people into this life of crime. But as we pointed out a couple of weeks ago, the real criminal is in City Hall downtown. The real criminal is in the State House in Albany. The real criminal is in the White House in Washington, D.C. The real criminal is the white man who poses as a liberal, the political hypocrite. And it is these legal crooks posing as our friends, forcing us into a life of crime, and then using us to spread the white man's evils and vices among our own people. Our people are scientifically maneuvered by the white man into a life of poverty. You're not poor accidentally. He maneuvers you into poverty. You're not ignorant accidentally. He maneuvers you into ignorance. You're not a drug addict accidentally. Why, this white man maneuvers you into drug addiction. You're not a prostitute accidentally. You have been maneuvered into prostitution by the American white man. There is nothing about your and my condition here in America that is an accident. It is part of the scientific method used by the American white man to keep us here in bondage, in ignorance, in poverty, in slavery, 20th century slavery. Because we are forced to live in the poorest section of the city, we attend inferior schools. We have inferior teachers. We get an inferior education. The white power structure downtown makes certain that by the time you and I do graduate, we won't be equipped or qualified for anything but the dirtiest, heaviest, poorest paying jobs that no one else wants. They prepare us for this. We are trapped in a vicious cycle of debt. Inferior jobs, inferior housing, inferior education, which again leads to inferior jobs. We spend a lifetime in this vicious cycle, going in circles, giving birth to children who see no hope or future but to follow in the miserable footsteps of their poverty-stricken parents. We saw no solution to our problem. We saw no real leader among our people. But today the whole world is talking, they're talking about the divine solution that he has received from the God of our forefathers. Not a temporary solution which will benefit only the hand-picked upper-class Negroes, but a solution divinely designed to solve the plight of the black masses permanently and forever. But the government does not want our people to listen and understand the solution that God has given, because the government is against God. I say the government is against God. In order to trick our people away from God's true solution, the government is trying to deceive you with a false solution, a phony solution, a deceitful solution called token integration. Don't you know tokenism is a drag? It's a pacifier. When your baby starts crying at home because it's hungry and you don't want to give your baby any milk, what do you give it? A pacifier, a substitute, tokenism. And that's the same thing that this blue-eyed white man is tricking you and me with today. He hears you crying out like a baby for freedom and justice and equality. And knowing that he can't give it to you, he sticks a pacifier in your mouth. He gives you tokenism, little crumbs. He sticks a couple Negroes in the University of Mississippi and tells you it's integrated. And a couple more in the University of Alabama and tells you it's integrated. And another one in the University of South Carolina and tells you that that's integrated. That's nothing but tokenism. It's nothing but deceit. It's nothing but false maneuvering. And God is gonna bring chastisement upon the American white man for tricking the so-called Negroes here in this country. God is after him.